Hi, Bernard Lee here for the Bernard Lee Poker Show 5th anniversary special. We're very fortunate to continue our conversation with the 1989 World Series main event champion and 11-time bracelet winner, Phil Hellmuth. Phil, the November 9 is such an amazing addition to the World Series. First, your thought, like it?
I love it. It's a spectacle. I loved it from the minute that Ty Stewart thought of it. You know, I give him credit. I mean, that was a great idea. And, you know, to have the world focus on 9 guys for 3 or 4 months from, you know, and each country gets kind of behind that person. I mean, you have somebody from South Africa or Russia.
Right.
And so it really is just great for poker.
Jeff Shulman made the November 9, and it was known that you helped coach him and prepare him for that. Can you give us some insights now that it's over, what you did to help him and the activities that you guys did leading up to that November 9?
I absolutely feel like, I mean, anybody that makes November 9 should have a coach, and they should have a great coach. They should hire somebody like, you know, a Negreanu, an Ivy, me, somebody like that. And I gave Jeff an idea. I said, let's come in for 5x raises. You know, the current trend is you come in for 2.2x raises. I said, we're going to come in for 5x raises. What that's going to do, it's going to prevent you from taking bad beats. So if you have aces or kings or ace-king and you 5x it, people aren't going to call you with a small pair and hit a set on you. And I said, the object is to you know, get down there so you can let your poker skills take over. But finishing 9th, 8th, 7th is unacceptable. And so we kind of, by 5xing it, we took that out of the mix. I thought a lot about this. And, you know, with all the training I've had in Hold'em, all the championships. And so I liked that, and he started using that. It shocked everybody.
Right,
and,
absolutely. We all were talking
like,
about
5x? What is that?
In Media Row, we were all asking. The first time he did it, we asked. We said, how much was that bet again? We really, really were unsure what was going. We obviously saw that trend and obviously attributed it to you.
And Jeff, yeah, so basically he doesn't play an all-in pot till he's 6-handed. And he has ace-king, and the opponent has ace-jack. So he's a big favorite. That holds up. And now all of a sudden he gets himself to about 30 million in chips. He's playing great poker, and I think, wow, he's probably going to win this thing. And I think they were 4 or 5-handed when Kada decided to play a big pot against Jeff. Jeff had 2 jacks, and so they put in like 13 million each. I don't know how Kada got all that money in with deuces, 3s, 4s, all those hands, and won them all. I mean, you run the numbers, he was like 300 to 1 or something to win all those pots. And so I was so proud of Jeff. Because he dodged and waited and waited and waited and threw away ace-king. They didn't show it one time. His opponent had ace-king before the flop. He threw it away, all for this one spot. He's sitting on 30 million. He's been all in one time, 5-handed, and he has jacks and Kada has 3s. Now, if Kada doesn't hit a 3, Jeff's up to 45 million. He's chip leader. He probably wins it. And so I was so proud of the advice I gave him. He really should have won. You know, he really should have been down there. And then all hell broke loose when they were 3-handed. They played like maniacs. And I mean, I've never seen anything like it. It's like they were all tired. And boom, 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 just throwing all these millions of dollars in. And so I felt really bad for Jeff because, you know, and so I coached him, and you know, and the great thing was that Barry Shulman had just won. His father had just won the World Series of Poker Europe. We were giving Jeff the same advice. They loved the 5x, and Barry had just won it, so he sat in all the sessions. And so Jeff was prepared, and I mean, he was really unlucky.
Anyone else ever ask you for that of the November?
No one has ever asked me to train him. I mean, which is crazy. I mean, I have more championships than anybody. You have to come to me. If you don't come to me, go to a great Hold'em player. But you can only learn. You can only benefit. You know, half the guys that are down there really don't know what they're doing. You know, and the other half don't have the experience, you know, and if you can have a great player coach you and help you, that's huge because they're going to give you additional confidence, they're going to improve your game. It's crazy to me that no one's coming to me except for Jeff.
Let's talk about another aspect of the World Series that you have made famous, your late entrances, ranging from Caesar to the race car driver to the general. ESPN reporter last year, which was a little subdued. But how do these come about? Who comes up with these ideas? Is it you? Is it other people? Or
me and my kind of team, you know, including, you know, my personal attorney and my COO Bob Soderstrom. And so we think about it. Also, if I'm working for an internet site, they'll help out
Sure.
because it takes some money to hire 11 models,
I was
one
about to
for
say,
each year, and
right,
put their
right.
outfits on and whatever. And and some of these entrances are very elaborate. Like Caesar, I'm being carried by, a bunch of guys, and then I'm put down, and then I'm escorted by 11 models in there, and one and the other Caesar one in London. I actually drove a chariot
Right.
through the biggest street. I mean,
Right.
buses, double-decker buses. These red buses are whizzing by, and I mean, and the streets are just crowded with people, and so everybody's staring. Not necessarily, no one necessarily knew I was going to be there, but they're all staring. They're like, "What is this?"
Right.
And so, I mean, it's just, and you can be a little bit embarrassed,
I was about to say, is this a little embarrassing?
I'm embarrassed. And
Sure.
then finally I got into the spirit. I'm like, you know what? This is great. People love this stuff. They watch it. They remember this. I'm going to have fun. And, this year, that's all I'll say.
That's all we'll say. Is it a combination of continuing to help build the brand, and is it also the fact, and you've said this, is that you don't like showing up early because it's the early levels. You like showing up late. You have this tendency to like showing up late. Is it kind of that combination that's kind of led to this?
It was interesting. It started really with the race car driver. So I was talking
Which
to
was
my...
not your finest moment as you ran into a pole, right?
Well, that's right. But
But it got a lot of news.
I was a top 10 Sports Center highlight.
That's right.
Crashing into that
That's
pole.
right. Right.
I mean, it was all over the globe, like
Right.
boom.
Right.
We had to get the footage off the property because we knew they were gonna try to confiscate it, and we got it out there, and it's just, I mean, it was just, you couldn't predict what was going to happen. I will say this: my attorney and I on the phone, and we're like, man, you represent like 13 different companies now. How come we get all the logos? And he's like, you almost need like a NASCAR suit. And I said, NASCAR suit? That's great. So I hired someone to create a black NASCAR suit, and John Benetti's granddaughter to create a black NASCAR suit and a gold NASCAR suit, and to have them identical and to have it ready for the World Series of Poker. I was thinking I was going to wear it day one all through the series. Well, somehow the message got lost in translation, and they had it ready for the main event. And I thought, okay, cool. So now, one of my sponsors decides they're going to shoot a commercial. And so they hire a NASCAR, they put a big picture of me and all this different stuff. So now I'm driving through the parking lot, shooting this commercial, having a great time. And the next thing you know, I used to have a Porsche that I bought in 90 after I won the main event. I added a Porsche to my collection with a racing clutch. And so all these guys thought they thought I was gonna stall the car. Not only was I not gonna stall it because I'm used to a racing clutch, but I was gonna have some fun. So I'm ripping through that parking lot. But whenever I'm like in between cars, I'm going slow. I don't really want to hurt anybody. I don't want anybody else at risk, right? And so, but then when I'd see a wide open place, I'd just, it's a race car, and I'd just, and so I remember just being slightly out of control as I'm coming towards a camera and a truck. And I'm just a little bit out of control, and I'm like, slow down, Phil, you don't want to hurt yourself.
Right.
So I go around, so I get in control, I go around the truck. As I hit the back end of the truck, I hit the accelerator, full bore down, and I come out of it fishtailing. We're in the middle of the desert, the parking lot, at the Rio. Yeah. Now I'm fishtailing, and I'm starting to get up to like 70 miles an hour, and I see this cement pole. And I'm like, uh-oh, because I'm fishtailing out of control at this pole, so I slam on the brakes, and now I hit this thing going probably 15, 18 miles an hour, which doesn't sound like much, but try that sometime.
Right.
And now all of a sudden, I'm like, wow, I've crashed this thing. And I'm like, you better jump out of it because steam's starting to raise up. And this is a race car, and it has racing fuel. I jump out of the car, no door, and no sooner do I get my foot down and my other foot down than I feel this like gas, this huge gas thing, and I jump out of the way. I just missed the gas. But there's this, like, literally must have been 30 gallons of gas just whooshing down the slope. And I run over this way and run around from the car, and I'm like, man, this thing could blow up.
Right.
This is ridiculous. And my neck is killing me. And now I can't even play the World Series of Poker the next day.
Right.
Because my neck is in so much pain. It's all on the left side of my neck. And, later in the week, it transferred to the right side. That's a race car drivers. Ask them. Injuries transfer left to right. It was very weird. But Fortunately, at the end of the week, I was going for a run, and it was gone.
Weird.
But I was, I got pulled into like the VIP booth and was getting like, all this thing. And they announced in the main event room, Phil Hellmuth just crashed his race car, and people don't know how to react. Is it a yay? Is it a boo? And I've called my wife, who's a doctor, medical doctor, and she's like, all right, because I can't figure out whether I need ice or heat.
Right.
And she's like, all right, you need whatever it was, I don't remember. I think you need heat for the first few hours on ice, and so I've hired someone just to come in and take care of my neck, and I'm really in a lot of pain, and all of a sudden this goes viral.
Right.
They release it, and I'm a Sports Center
Center
highlight.
highlight.
So now when I come in as a race car driver, the whole world's ready for it, because this is my entrance. And so my first entrance, and people thought, a lot of people thought that I crashed that car intentionally. I did not. And so,
set the record straight.
It would have been a brilliant ploy, though.
Yeah.
I mean, it's something that I might have done.
Right.
But I just didn't do it. And so, anyway, so that kind of launched it, and that made it that just took it up like 4 or 5 notches.
Absolutely.
And now all of a sudden, people really kind of anticipate the entrance.
Right. Let's talk about the World Series of Poker, the Hall of Fame induction, 2007. How much did that mean to you to be inducted into the Hall of Fame?
I was told at the beginning of 2007, right before the series, I was walking through the hallways, and I was told by Ty Stewart that I was going to get inducted that year. And I'm like, yes. Now, in 2001, when Carlos Mortensen won the main event, Benny Binion III basically had a ceremony. He told me right before the main event, the final day started, he said, Phil, if you win this, you're going straight into the Hall of Fame. You'll be the youngest ever. And so that was a little additional pressure, but I'm like, whatever. I mean, the main event is pressure in itself. Unfortunately, Carlos won it that year.
Right.
And so, now all these years pass, I'm like, all right, what's going on here, man? I have all these records. Why are they taking so long?
Right.
But you don't think about it all the time. I mean, it's just one of those nice things. And then, so I was told at the beginning, that just gave me a huge boost of energy. I won a bracelet that year. And
Your 11th.
yeah, I think that was the year I went first, second, third, fifth, and 13th. And yeah, it was pretty exciting. And I think that knowing I was going in gave me some momentum. Yeah, so it was something that I knew was going to happen. And I kind of wanted to be the youngest ever. I wasn't. Chip Reese is.
Right.
But, obviously making the Hall of Fame is amazing.